Good afternoon. Thank you for the warm introduction. Conway Rotary Club is new to me, and I'm still getting acquaintances with all of you, and I'm missing my Rotary Club of Cleveland County, and I decided, since I'm a program chair this month, I would invite everybody from my old club, and but only Paul Roberts showed up today. So I'm going to introduce him, and he has a wonderful speech about the Honduran schools that he participated in their transformation. Dr. Roberts is past district governor for District 6150, 2011-2012. Paul is a member of the Rotary Club of Cleveland County and has been a member of Rotary for 13 years. He is a multiple Paul Harris Fellow, a sustaining member, and a member of Paul Harris Society. He has served his club as a president-elect, president, board member, program chair, club chair of the tornado relief effort for Dumas and Clinton, co-chair for golf tournament committee, grant writer, chair of Honduras Water Project, and district finance chairman. He was named the Rotary Club of Heber Springs Club's Rotarian of the Year in 2008, and in 2015 he was Rotarian of the Year at our club of Cleveland County, my old club. And at the district level of 6150, Paul has served as district governor, an aide to the governor, assistant governor, member of the district and global grants committee, District 6150 Golf Tournament Chair, a speaker evaluator at PETS, a presenter on club extension at the district conference, and one of the original developers of the Clinton area Rotary Clubs. Pauls have reading global grants for project in Honduras worth over $402,000. He is one of only 2 global grant writers in District 6150. Paul has been to Honduras twice to evaluate the program of past global grants and to review the need for future grants. Paul is native of McGee, Arkansas, where he graduated from high school in 1958. He received his BSc degree in 1962 from Henderson State University. He obtained a master's degree from ASU in 1917, and in 1994 he received a PhD in educational philosophy from Lesley University. Paul coached football, basketball, and track in Pine Bluff, Magnolia, and Hot Springs high schools, where his team won 5 state football championships and 3 state track championships. He served as a superintendent at Mountain Pine, McGee, and Grady school districts. After 37 years of public school business, he retired in 1999. Since then, Paul has enjoyed playing golf, hunting, listening to 1950 and 1960s rock and roll music. And I was trying to get Paul to come in the middle of November, but he said it'd be hunting season, and he will be nowhere to be found for a month. Paul is married to Phyllis, who is a Paul Harris Fellow. They have 6 children and 12 grandchildren, and they are members of United Methodist Church in Heber Springs. Please welcome Paul Roberts.
I'd used up all my time, but I was told when I first got here that the first one that gets up and leaves, that's when you know your talk is over. That's kind of what happens at our Rotary Club. I've already been to one Rotary Club this morning. We meet at 6:15. Well, I get up at 6:15. I was in the noon club and 7:15. I get up at 6. It seems like it's 7:15. When I was recruited to come over to the morning club, I said, well, what time do y'all meet? They said, well, you have to be there at 7:15, and I live on Pryor Mountain, about 15 miles on the wrong side of the lake. And I said, well, that means I got to get up at 6:15. I said, hell, I don't even get up at 6:15 to go duck hunting. But anyway, every Thursday I go home and take a nap after Rotary. I see all these females here today, kind of reminds me of the year that I was governor. We've got 40 clubs in our district, and we at that time during 2011-12, we had 2 clubs that had no females whatsoever. And I had my female speech the first time, and DeWitt, Arkansas is one of them, and I know if you duck hunt, you know where DeWitt is. Well, I was going to give my female speech. I was going to tell them that, you know, in our Rotary Club, the females do the work and the guys write the checks. And I was going to tell them, you know, y'all need to get some females in this club. Well, when I got there a little early, and this lady met me at the door. And she said, I'm not a Rotarian, but I play the piano. I thought to myself, well, you know, that's kind of strange. But now the DeWitt Rotary Club sings about 5 songs before they ever start Rotary. They got a Rotary songbook. Y'all probably didn't even know that. But there is a Rotary songbook. Well, they seem like they sing forever. Well, when we went in and they introduced me and I started the program, she raised her hand back in the back. And I looked over at the president. He said, see what she wants to say. So she stood up and she said, since the governor's here, I'm going to tell all of y'all. I've been playing this damn piano for 15 years, and unless you make me a member next year, I ain't coming back. They got a motion and a second Baylor member that day. Now, the other club is over at Hughes, Arkansas. Hughes won't ever get a woman over there because the youngest guy in the Hughes Club, I think, is about 92 years old, and they don't want any women in there. It's a privilege to come talk to you today. I want to spend a little bit of time telling you about what my club's done in Honduras. I've got some handouts that I only had 25. I really didn't know how many to bring, but it's just an outline of the grant that I have written that we're in the process of getting partners for right now. But we started writing grants for Honduras in 2006. The first grant we wrote was for a water project up in the mountains of Honduras. And I might need to tell you about Honduras. Honduras is a beautiful country. The Atlantic Ocean is on the eastern side of Honduras, and the Pacific's on the other side. And you can get from one side to the other pretty quickly, because the first time I went down there, I wanted to see both oceans from one country. They're a very poor country, very little manufacturing. The biggest business in Honduras is Dole Banana Club, Dole Banana Company, and all they do is produce and buy from the locals bananas and pineapples. You'll see kids on the side of the road selling anything from mangoes to pecans down there. The minimum wage is 80 cents per hour. Now, we got folks here in Arkansas hollering that they can't get $15 an hour working at McDonald's. They need to go to Honduras and work for 80 cents an hour. After we finished the water project in Honduras, and I'll tell you, in the mountains of Honduras, you know, they're tall mountains. And for a water project in Honduras, you don't dig anything, you just dam up a stream. And to dam that stream up, you've got to have concrete blocks to use as the dam to get the water at least 10 feet deep on the flowing side. For the water to flow on down into a holding tank, and from a holding tank, it's sifted through 3 separate sizes of rocks down to sand, and then PVC pipes are run directly to all the huts. And then we put a water faucet on the end of that PVC pipe, and there's enough gravity flow for that water to flow. In order to get those blocks and that PVC pipe up that mountain, the locals carried 2 blocks at a time, and the kids carried the PVC pipe up 3,000 feet. When I first went up there, I had to stop half a dozen times to get up there, and I wasn't carrying anything but me. But these people down there are extremely hard workers. They don't have anything. They appreciate anything that you do. Well, after we saw what the water project did, me being an old retired school superintendent, we went to a luncheon at one of the schools. And the schools, I might say, have no windows, no doors. They got 2 fans in each classroom, but they don't work, nor do the lights work. And the worst thing I saw, they don't even have chalk for the blackboards. They got blackboards, but no chalk. About 3/4 of the time, the teachers don't show up, so they'll end up with a couple of mothers that'll come in and teach them how to weave baskets or do something. When I went to the library of one of the schools, and there's only 2 of the 15, 14 elementary schools had a library, I was looking through the books, and most of the books, a copyright was from 1927 back to 1920. Well, that made me appreciate what we have in our public schools. And I told Bobby Wilson, Bobby's our man on the ground. He retired from John Deere Company, and he had a mission 20 years ago to go to Honduras and help them build little one-room churches. That's how he got involved in Honduras. And then I got him involved in Rotary, and we're still going. He's down there right now. He's been there 2 weeks. But he goes down once a month at his own expense to check on the projects that we have going on. Now, after I saw the problems that they have in those elementary schools, in that one, I asked Bobby, I said, is it like that everywhere? And he said, yeah, all the schools are just like that. Their schools only go, kids in grades 1 through 6 go to school from 8 to noon. They don't feed lunch. Those kids then go home, and the kids in grades 7 and 8 come at noon, and they stay until 4 o'clock. So they don't really get but half the education that our kids would get if we paired that. Nothing can be done about that because they don't have enough money. The municipality, which is the same as our counties, they're just too poor to do anything down there, really. So they won't ever have meals served down there unless some people come in the future. We met the mayor down there who went to school in one of these poor schools, and I told him, I said, you know, something's got to be done down here about your education process. I said, what do these kids do when they finish the 8th or 9th grade? And he said they head to the United States. And he said, I'd love to find some way to keep those kids here in my municipality, plus the whole country of Honduras. And I asked him, I said, well, Mayor, how many people are leaving here? He said, well, the United States is sending back at least 4,000 every month. Now, we're paying to send those kids back. I didn't know this, but the United States does not let them walk back through Mexico where they came the first time. They fly them back and fly them into San Pedro Sula, which is the airport that you come into when you leave Houston going to Honduras. I ramble a little bit, but you know, most superintendents do. In order to get to my point, when Bobby and I got back to the United States, I told Bobby, I said, you know, I wonder if those people ever thought about having a vocational program. And what I was talking about was what you people would understand would just be the old agriculture and the old home economics program. All they had, well, they didn't have textbooks. I did mention that a while ago. They didn't have textbooks either. He said, well, it's going to take too much money because they can't fund the equipment for home economics, nor could they do the same thing for vocational education. So Bob Warner and I, Bob's the other guy in our district that writes grants, and Bob was the governor 2 years before me. He and I had written some international grants, and then we were one of the 100 pilot districts to go through the hassle of the global grants before it ended up being like it is now. It's a pretty good process now. And I told Bob, I said, Bob, how much money we got in the global grant fund? Because you know, you got the DDF money, which we really consider our district grant money for local projects, and then the global grant fund is the other half of the half that Rotary sends us from our foundation money. He said, well, you know, nobody's been writing any grants since you and I hadn't written any more international grants. We got about $300,000 just in global grant money. Well, $300,000 and RI is going to match it with another $300,000. That's $600,000. So I said, well, you get ready because I'm gonna start writing some grants. So 5 years ago, I wrote a grant. Bobby and I went back to Honduras and looked at the situation down there and told the parents, you're going to have to build some tables to put sewing machines on. We were going to put 12 sewing machines in each of the 5 classrooms, the first grant we had. We were going to put 2 cook stoves in each classroom, which would be 10, a refrigerator in each one, and then a microwave in each one, and a freezer where they could freeze the meat if they were using from one day to the next if they were cooking. So all that ended up being about $75,000. By the time you have to get this equipment to New Orleans, and Dole Banana for $3,800 will ship it on to Honduras, and then the Rotarians in Honduras will pick it up and take it to the schools. Plus, we employ one guy down there from these grants that really looks after everything, and he does the inventory, and he checks year-round on the equipment that was sent down there, besides Bobby going down there. So that first grant we wrote worked out very well. Bobby went down there 2 or 3 times, so we wrote another one, and then another one, and another one, and I'm on number 6 right now. The 6th grant is the largest one. There are 13 elementary schools in Honduras. Well, no, I shouldn't say that, in Amoa. Amoa is a municipality in Honduras. We're adding 8th, 9th grade vocational education to those 5 to begin with. And then we've expanded that for the last 4 years, and this year we're expanding the school. There is no 10th grade, but we're adding 2 10th grade schools that will be the feeder school from those elementary schools. They can move to those if they can get there. That's the problem in Honduras, the reason they don't have any high schools down there. They don't have any public transportation. Everything is private, and most everything, you know, hauls 2 people. It looks like a motorcycle with a cage on the back of it. And they charge you 25 cents to get anywhere that you're going to go, so that the parents of the kids that live in the outer areas from Amoa itself. Now, the municipality is Amoa, and also the capital of Amoa is Amoa. And that's where one of the 10th grade schools is going to be with this grant, and then the other one will be in Cuyamel, which is about 15 miles from Amoa. That's the 2 most central areas where we could add a 10th grade. And then after this grant, and this grant's $169,000, half of it would come from our district global grant money, the other half from RI. After that, we'll add 2 11th grade schools in 1 more year, and then 2 12th grade schools. And then, thank God, we'll be through writing grants, I hope, if I'm not dead by then. Or if my wife doesn't divorce me by then. But it's a process. Global grants, I don't know who the global grant writer is in this club, but it's a pain. And if you don't have somebody on the ground to look after your money or look after your equipment, it won't be long before RI is going to come knocking on your door and want to pull your charter, plus they're going to want their money back. Anytime that you write a global grant, it doesn't make any difference where it might be. You've got to have somebody on the ground. We learned this the hard way I was working with Club 99 out of Little Rock, 450 members. They wanted to write a grant in Thailand for water wells for 3 elementary schools that were close enough that all they'd have to do is dig one deep well and have a big holding tank, and then they could provide the machinery to get the water pumped to those schools. Well, they went through the process, and we were getting ready to send the grant to RI, and RI sent a letter back, said, you know, you've been sending these updates, but that district owes us $20,000. They haven't written the final report on a project that was done 3 years ago because somebody stole $20,000 and they hadn't been able to pay it back. So if you want to fund this grant, you find a way to send us our $20,000 and we'll reconstitute that district and that club so they could receive a grant. RI, the year that I was governor, when we were in San Diego, RI had lost $5 million over the world for people stealing money. Bobby Wilson, the guy that I mentioned earlier that spent 20 years in Honduras, he said, Paul, let me tell you something. We take care of RI's money. Poor people steal. He said, I don't care where it is. He said, I've been all over the world with John Deere. But poor people will steal money. And as a result, none of these grants that we've written, each time we've written those grants, the host club has asked for us to send the money to them and let them pay the bills. And we said, no, you know, we're not going to do that. If you want to be involved with us, we keep the money. We buy all the supplies and we'll ship them down there. And we're going to try something a little bit different in this one grant. We're going to let them buy the air conditioners. We need 24 air conditioners down there. It's about $46,000. We're going to let them buy the air conditioners, but the company down there that has them will send us the bill. So when you start writing these grants, get you somebody on the ground. You know, that's a hassle. That's a hassle to try to find someone in another country that your district and RI are trying to benefit, but you can't really trust them with the money. But that's just the way it is. I remember the mayor of Omoa has been to our past 2 years district conference, and he's spoken each time, and he reiterates, we're glad you haven't sent any money down there where I would have to pay it back because somebody in the school system stole it. So it's just a fact. Now, as you pass those things out, that's the outline that we sent to a Rotary club in Brazil who's going to partner with us in this grant. Hopefully 6110. Hopefully we can get about 20,000 DDF money out of them. That'll be 40,000. That'll pay for the air conditioners. And if your district and your club needs a global grant for a partner, we'll be glad to partner with you. Bobby Wilson will be back next week, and I'll file the grant at that particular time, and then we'll start trying to find someone that would help us as far as DDF money is concerned. I might say too, and I'm gonna tell District 6150 and that Brazilian club the same thing. If you help us in the future, when you write a global grant, we'll be partners with you also. Because if your district has very much DDF money, and I don't know whether they do or not, you know, we've got a lot because nobody writes grants. Evidently, y'all must be writing more global grants than we are. Because with what I've heard, you know, y'all don't have as much money in that global grant fund as we do. But there are an awful lot of projects around the world. You can get a list of those from RI. Project where RI has someone on the ground that can look out for your money. The Rotary Foundation, as was mentioned earlier, does fabulous things around the world. This vocational program, this 5 years that we've been going through, we've changed a whole generation of students by running them through these vocational classes. We've got students that went through the first vocational classes that now are selling dresses that they're hand making in Honduras to Walmart in the United States. We've got welders down there from those classes that are now working for a big firm, a German firm that's coming in to reconstitute and institute the cruise ship lines. They used to come in there, but they had problems. I don't know whether it's financial problem or whatever, but over time the sand silted back in where the cruise ships were pulling up to port, and they've got to blow that back out. Let me add a couple more things and I'm through. Because of the labor market that has come from these students the last 5 years, there's a German company that's coming in that's going to build a railroad up to some ruins 25 miles northeast of Amoa. And they guaranteed all the welders that have come out of these classes and the ones they're going to start next year, and those, if they can pass the proficient welding test, they'll give them a job helping build that 25-mile railroad. That's going to be part that will help the industry down there. They're also Dole Banana's got another company that's coming in from Switzerland, I believe, that hadn't had that much fresh fruit, that they're going to run the shipping lines every 2 weeks over there for bananas and pineapples, and that will employ a bunch of these girls that have been in the home ec program. We're teaching them hospitality trades, all kind of trades that are within homemaking for these future jobs. If you ever get a chance to go to Honduras, it's a beautiful country, but they don't know anything about trash. They don't know how to pick up trash. They don't have, their dump is all along the highway. Amoa is Heber Springs' sister city. We gave them an old discarded fire truck 2 years ago, and we went down there. We just got back, 7 of us. Catherine was one that went with us. We just got back from Honduras, 7 of our Rotary Club members in June. We pulled up, and that fire truck, you can see your face in that thing. I mean, it looks like a brand new one, and something that we didn't know. I know Catherine didn't either. The military is in charge of fire protection in Honduras. And evidently it gets, they get a lot of business, but nobody fools with the fire trucks since you're all standing around with M16s. But if you look for a global grant and you want to partner with someone, we'll probably be writing global grants till I die or till Bob Warner and myself both die. But I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you. Mayor Jimmy is coming next week. He's one of the others that went to Honduras with us back in July, so he'll probably add some things to my presentation. Thank you.
So our club adopts a project every year, and instead of a speaker gift, which is like a promotional item or something, what we do is support a project. And so our project is the Newspapers and Education Program through the Log Cabin Democrat. And so we will be providing 50 newspapers to local classrooms in your honor for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Roberts, I'm sure will be here for a little bit if anyone has questions or would like to come speak with him further about his project. Very quickly, Deanna Runyon has one announcement before we go.
We have a Rotary Disaster Committee meeting today. I think it's at 3 o'clock. I can't remember. But it's at Region Sanctuary normally. Just a reminder, it will only be for 45 minutes today. Just a quick meeting.
Thank you. So if you're interested in the Disaster Relief Committee, you can see Deanna, and then just a note, the two programs for the next 2 weeks have flip-flopped. And so it will be the mayor of Heber Springs next week, and then we'll have what's up there for next week, the following week, so.
I'm sorry.
No,
It's been updated.
is it right?
So we're gonna have Dr. McClellan, she's the director of the PhD program at UCA. She will speak next week, and November 19th will be Jimmy Clark,
Got it.
mayor of Heber Springs.
So the mayor is coming, just not
The
next week.
19th,
Yeah, good, okay.